Hey everyone, this is Crypto Pivot, and today I'm making a tutorial video on how I trade price action on the charts, and then also how I use my trading style to ladder or stack my buys and sells to optimize my gains. So on the first part, how I trade price action is through what's called an isolated pivot. Basically, where I get my handle from. An isolated pivot is a candle that has a uh, either higher high, higher low, or lower low, higher low. Um, so you have pivot highs, pivot lows. Pivot highs obviously are a candle that has a higher high and higher low wick than the candles beside it, and a pivot low is a candle that has a higher low and lower low wick than the candles beside it. Just for a couple examples. Right here we have a pivot low. It has a higher low and lower low wick than the candles beside it. For a higher high, or for a pivot high, we have a candle here that has a higher high and higher low wick than the candles beside there. With pivot lows, you always put your lines at the low, and for highs, you always put it at the high. So as you can see here, nothing's ever perfect. However, you do have some nice reaction here for the candles coming after this pivot low. And then also here, we took our pivot high here, but as you can see here, this actually acted as resistance quite some time ago as well. So the way that I actually trade ranges, we'll go to the daily here, is what I like to do is take the first pivot high and pivot low after a volatile move, so up or down. So we'll take the most recent move down and create our range. So here we have our first pivot low, and we'll just make this a different color. And we have our first pivot high right here. And then so now we have our daily range. We have our range high and our range low. And as you can see, this is why I really like using isolated pivots to kind of define your range and trends. Things like that is, we have our first pivot high. It's actually acted as a nice resistance here. And then our first pivot low has acted as really nice support. So now going to the second part, laddering my buys and sells. Basically what that means is I don't just pick one point to buy and sell. I pick multiple points for multiple time frames to go into trades. I've seen posts where people are like, I missed my buy by $30 and would have made X amount of money, or I missed my sell by $20 and now I've lost all this money. That used to happen to me a lot. So what I started to do is ladder or stack those buys and sells. So what I like to do is I go to the lower time frames. So we can go to the 1 hour here, and we'll go a little bit back further in the chart. So we have our move down, defined our range already, so let's go ahead and just pick a random low and high on the daily. So we have a pivot low right here that's more towards the top of the range. Make this red. And let's see if we can find a pivot low. Alright, yeah, we can go right here for a pivot low. And let's go to the 4 hour. And go around the same area for the 4 hours. So we have a nice pivot high here. Make these orange. And we have a nice pivot low right over here. Alright, so now that we have our lower time frame pivots, go back to the daily range here. And then, so the way that I usually stack my bids and asks are based on where the pivots lie and what time frame. So the reds are our 1 hour, the gold is our 4 hour, and then our black is the daily. So we have our range high here. When price kind of hits resistance and starts to move down, what I like to do is stack my bids accordingly to the time frame. So price hits resistance on the daily, starts moving down, breaks through the 4 hour, breaks through the 1 hour. I then start to stack my bids. So we have our 4 hour here. I would probably go in probably like 50% of what I would like to go here. On the 1 hour, I'll do 25%. And then on the daily is where I kind of go, 100% of what I like to buy. And then so, I get filled on everything. Price starts to move away. I have a nice average. And then for myself, I do the same thing. So we have this pivot high right here. I'll probably sell 25% here. 4 hour, I'll sell the 50. And then on the range high, I'll be completely out of the trade. Because being completely out of the trade is fine with me. I don't really need a moon bag for most things, because if it breaks, more than likely we're going to get a retest anyway of these pivots. So, just to demonstrate, I bought here, went all in here, prices moved away. I'm going to sell, 25% of my bag here. More than likely we'll probably get a retest. Going to come up here, 75% out of the trade, and then we're going to come back up 100% out, and it's either going to come back down, start to range again, or it'll break up. I'm 100% out of my trade, so that's fine, because more than likely we're going to get a retest of this range high, and then I'll buy some back here, and it'll start to continue to move up. This has really helped me of, not missing out on gains, and then also selling up here has really helped me keep cash handy, selling into stable coins, things like that, just so that if it does break range, I know I'm going to have money to buy the retest and keep making money. But that's the basic gist of how I define ranges, how I trade price action, and how I ladder and stack my bids and asks in order to optimize my trades. Thanks for listening, and good luck.